Hello viewers, welcome to class Math 101. Today I'll be talking about derivative rules. But first, let me introduce to you some of my friends. These are my friends, Team Q4. They're one of the famous Card Fight Vanguard groups. Here we have Misaki Tokura, Kamui Katsuragi, Aichi Sando, and Toshiki Kai. Team Q4 has a problem on how to understand derivative rules. I'm so sorry. There are four derivative rules. There's the power to power rule, product rule, quotient rule, and chain rule. But we'll be only tackling the first three, which is the power, the product, and the quotient. Now let's get into it. Let's start off with what is a power rule? A power rule helps define the derivative of a certain function and helps you find the derivative of a variable raised to a power. Meaning, if there's a certain variable that is being raised, for example, x is raised to 4, for example, we will know on how to get the derivative or the prime. And here is the formula. It's really easy. It's just basically, example, f of x is equals to x raised to n, where you have to multiply the n, multiply to x, then minus n to 1. Example, say we have this certain equation, x raised to 5 plus 2x raised to 3 and minus 6x plus 7. First, what's the first step? First, we got to identify which of these functions or polynomials have a certain degree. Like example, x over here has a raised to 5, 2x has a raised to 3, and x is just raised to 1. First rule whenever comes in deriving a certain function, always drop out the constant. So plus 7 will be out. Next, we follow the rule. N times x raised to n minus 1. So simple. 5 times x. You see there's no number in x, but that it's equivalent to 1. So it's going to be 5 times 1. So it's going to be x raised to minus 1 of 5. So that's going to be 5 minus 1. So the final equation will be 5x raised to 4. And that continues on for 2x raised to 3 minus 6x, but don't use x7. Oh no, it's permanent. As you can see, 5x raised to 5, so 5 times x, which is going to be 5x, then 5 minus 1, which is going to be raised to 4, followed by 2x raised to 3, that's going to be 3 times 2, that's going to be 6x, then 3 minus 1, which is going to be 2. For 6x this time, since 6x is raised to 1, it's just simply by 1 times 6, that's going to give you 6, then 1 minus 1, that's going to be 0, which x will be disregarded. And this is your final answer. Hey, another example I need. How about this time for x raised to 5 plus 2x raised to 3 plus 9x minus 12. It's the same way on how we get 5x raised to 4 plus 6x raised to 2 minus 6. Just simply 5 times 4, which is going to give you 20, and 5 minus 1 is going to give you 4, and so on, so forth. Now we already encountered the first part of the derivative rules. Now let's move on to the product rule. The product rule is a rule wherein a function is multiplied to another function. Meaning, two certain functions multiply. What we know before, whenever we try to multiply functions, we just simply distribute them or FOIL them, but it doesn't apply to this rule because we're doing derivatives, and the derivative rule is way different from that. The rule is d over dx is going to be f of x of gx is equals to f of x times g prime x plus g of x times f prime of x. The meaning of prime is the derived function. So example, the derived function of x is going to be f of x, f prime x. Then the derived of g of x is going to be g prime x. Example. All right. We have an function that is 4x plus 3 times x squared plus 9, and we have to substitute x, which is equals to -1. First, what we do, get the first problem. All right, I'm not gonna use the whiteboard marker. It's gonna make a mess. Okay. First, what we're gonna do is get the derivative of 4x plus 3. How? It's just the same. It's by doing the power to a power rule. So this time, since 4x raised to 1, so it's going to be 4 times 1, it's going to be 4, disregard x, and and drop the constant. So the constant's out. Next, it's going to be x squared plus 9. It's the same. 2 times 1. 2 times 1. Next, 2 minus 1, that's going to be 2x. And there you go. After getting everything, getting the primes, next equate f of x, which is 4x plus 3, times g prime of x. What's our g prime of x? 2x plus x squared plus 9, which is our g of x, which is this one, times f prime x, which is 4. Next, after that, just simply do distribution. So 2 times 4x, that's going to be 8x squared. 2 times 3 is going to be 6x plus 4 times x squared, that's going to be 4x squared. 9 plus 4, it's going to be 36. If you guys are wondering, how did we get x squared? Going back to our elementary or high school lessons, whenever we multiply exponents, we always add them. It's also vice versa when it comes to dividing. Whenever you divide exponents, you minus them. And then simplify, combine like terms. 12 and 4, this can be 12x squared plus 6x is just a load plus 36. Okay? Next, after that we substitute. 12 times -1 raised to 2 plus 6 times -1 plus 36. Remember, whenever we're squaring a negative number, the final answer will be a positive. But when we're cubing a negative number, which is x raised to 3, we are gonna get a negative answer. So remember, whenever a negative number is being raised to a even number, I mean, like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on and so forth, it's gonna be a positive. But if this raised to a odd number like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and so on and so forth, it's gonna be a negative. Okay, now let's have some drip. Oh yeah. Next, right after substituting, multiply. So since -1 raised to 2, it's just gonna be 1. So 12 times 1 is gonna be 12. 6 times -1 is gonna be -6 plus 36. Combine. 12 plus 36 is going to be 48 minus 6, x is 42. Okay? Next, we go to quotient. Quotient rule is similar to product rule, but instead of adding, we are gonna subtract it. Similar to product rule, the quotient rule is a way of differentiating the quotient or division of functions. Differentiating meaning subtracting. Here is the formula. D over dx, which is going to be explained as f of x all over gx, is equal to g of x times f of prime x minus f of x times g of prime x all over gx squared. Don't worry, it's really easy. It's not really hard. Example, 3n plus 2 divided by 2n plus 3 and x is equals to 1. Following the formula, first we get the derivatives of f of x and g of x. Oh yeah, one more tip. Whenever you see two functions and you're gonna get the derivative, make it a habit that the first function will be your f of x, then your second function will be g of x. Okay, that's 2n plus 3 if you guys can see that. I'm so sorry about the marker. I thought it was whiteboard. Silly me. Next, since we get already the derivatives or the primes, we follow the formula. First, g of x, which is 2n plus 3 times the f prime x, which is 3, minus 3n plus 2, which is f of x, times 2, which is the g of prime x, divided by 2n plus 3 squared. Once you get everything, you'll be ended up with this. Distributing 3 times 2n, that's going to be 6n, 3 times 3, it's going to be 9, minus 2 times 3, it's going to be 6n, and 2 times 2 will be 4. All over 4n squared plus 12n plus 9. There are two ways on how to get the answer of 2n plus 3 squared. One way is by foiling, by writing 2n plus 3 and another 2n plus 3, then foil. First, then outside, first, outside, next inside, then last. Or just simply do this. 2n times 2n, that's going to give you 4n squared. 2n times 3, it's going to be 6. Then times 2, which is going to be 12n. Why? Because you're going to add them. Because take a look. 2n plus 3 is going to give you 6. Then another 2n plus 3 is going to give you 6. In short, it's going to give you 12n. Then square the last term. 9n. I'm so sorry. 9. Once you get that, combine like terms. Whenever we're subtracting functions or anything, we always do keep, flip, change. KFC. Woo! Kentucky Fried Chicken! I'm hungry. So it's gonna be 6n plus 9. Flip, keep this. Keep, flip, change. So keep the first equation, flip the sign, then change the sign. Flip the operation, I mean. Change the signs of the equation. So instead of positive 6n, it's going to be negative 6n. Instead of positive 4, it's going to be negative 4. After that, combine like terms. Since positive 6n plus negative 6n, they're going to cancel out each other. So that's no more. Bye bye 6n. Next, 9 minus 4, which is going to give you 5 all over 4n squared plus 12n plus 9. We already got the answer. We already got half of the answer. Now, let's substitute. 5 all over 4 times 1 squared plus 12 times 1 plus 9. That's going to give you 5 over 25. Simplify if you can. It's going to be 1 over 5. So, did Aichi, Misaki, Kamui, and Kai learn this? Yes, and they're not going to have a hard time in class next time. So, thank you. That's a wrap. If you want to see how the chain rule is going to be applied, click on the link right here. If you want to subscribe, click right here. This is Math 101 class. I'm your host, I'm your teacher, Carlo Miguel P. Montalvo, signing off.